In this Teach It Wise science video, we'll be looking at scientific apparatus. We'll be looking at two particular things. First of all, photographs of the apparatus, or we could call it equipment, and then the diagrams that we use to represent these pieces of equipment, and a brief description of what they're used for. So let's get started. First, we have a beaker. A beaker is used for heating liquids and mixing solutions. We don't normally use it for measuring liquids, even though it does have the graduations down the side. It's not particularly accurate. Here is a measuring cylinder. This would be much better for measuring the volume of liquids. You can see the small graduations down the side of the tube. Here we have both test tube and boiling tubes. These are used for holding both solids and liquids, and to stop them rolling off of a desk, we put them in something known as a test tube rack. Here we have a conical flask. We use these for mixing solutions when we do not need to heat the solution. We can swirl the solution in this conical flask. We also use these when we're using a filter funnel. And here is a filter funnel. We normally use this with filter paper, and we can use it for separating a solid from a liquid, like sand from water. Here is a Bunsen burner, which we use for heating in the science lab. And here is the heat mat. We would put the Bunsen burner on top of this, or other hot things to protect surfaces from the heat to prevent fires. It's a safety piece of equipment. With the Bunsen burner and the heat mat, we can also use a tripod. We can use a tripod to support other pieces of apparatus above the Bunsen burner. And then we might also need to use a gauze, which we'd place on top of the tripod, which helps to spread out heat energy and also to support the apparatus from falling through the tripod. Here is a thermometer. We use that for measuring temperature, usually in degrees Celsius. Here is a spatula. We use that for handling solids like powders, measuring out and moving them from one to a place to another. Whereas a pipette can be used for measuring and moving small volumes of a liquid. You squeeze the end and it draws up the liquid. Here is a gas jar. These are used for collecting and containing gases. This one is named just as we see it. It's a flat bottom flask. It's used for mixing liquids, but it cannot be heated. This one, very similar, but is a round bottom flask. We can use this one for heating liquids, and we often use it in distillation. We might use a clamp and stand to hold that round bottom flask. Here is an evaporating dish. We use this to collect and evaporate liquids, and we can use it with heat or without heat. This is a watch glass. We use it for collecting and evaporating liquids as well, but only when we do not need heat. So that's some common scientific apparatus that we might use in the lab. Here's a few examples of how we might put some of those pieces of equipment, pieces of apparatus, together in both diagrams and in their physical form. In this example, you can see we've set up for filtering. You can see in the video that the real equipment, the real apparatus, and in the diagram how we'd put those different symbols we've just looked at together. The triangle without the top is just the filter paper that's been placed inside the filter funnel. And here we have the same thing, but for evaporation. You can see the heat mat, the Bunsen burner, the tripod, the gauze, and then the evaporating dish, the evaporating basin. So you can put these different pieces of equipment together to achieve your goal, and we can use the diagrams to help us understand and represent what pieces of apparatus we are using. It makes it one simple language that we can understand all around the world. You don't need to be an amazing artist to be a good scientist, because we just draw nice, straightforward, clear diagrams. And also, as you notice in the video, we label them normally too. Thank you for watching, and see you next time for another Teach It Wise science video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.